Jase is back. Trent with him as we talk Iowa football, the good, bad, and ugly from last weekend. Can the Hawks beat Wisconsin? And we are red hot in our picks. We'll give those to you at the end of the show, presented by FanDuel.
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. I'm Trent Condon. That's my buddy Biz, and we are here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button while you're there. Just takes a moment and helps us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Biz, another week, another win, and yet more frustrations in the Iowa Hawkeye fan base. How you doing this week?
Good. Busy time of year. I got coached a successful first and second grade flag football victory last night, Trent, and then as soon as we're done with this, I get to sprint to a junior high conference cross country meet. So lot going on, but the important thing, I guess, we did get the win on Saturday, and I don't know. I wasn't frustrated with it, and it's kind of what I expected. I didn't think Deacon Hill was going to be very good. I didn't have good feelings going into it. I thought we would struggle and potentially lose, and honestly, we kind of controlled the game. So, I don't know. Is it pretty? Absolutely not. But it's a win, and it was kind of a convincing win. We were up 13 with 3 minutes to go in the game, and kind of controlled the game from start to finish, which it's about all you can ask for right now as an Iowa fan.
Obviously, the most difficult opponent coming up this week, remaining on the schedule, Wisconsin. We'll get into that game here in a moment. Talk about the good. And I think you start with the running game, certainly offensively. Caleb coming back and having the long run. He's so dynamic. He's got the size. He's got the speed. Sounds like he was banged up even before the debilitating injury that kept him out a couple of games, but he is a difference maker. I mean, we saw that a year ago, and he's just different than most of the guys that we have in the running back spot. He's the kind of guy with the woes of this offense. They need not just a guy. LaShawn Williams is a guy. He's a solid running back. Caleb can be a difference maker.
He looked good on Saturday. I honestly, early in the year when he was playing, I was kind of frustrated. I thought he was kind of a little bit tentative, and he was not tentative at all on Saturday. He hit the holes. He was decisive. He made a couple nice cuts. He looked healthy, and we badly need him. So, I listed 3 good, 3 bad, and 1 ugly, Trent. So, number 1 on my good was exactly what you said, running game. Or I just listed Caleb Johnson, but running blocking was better also. I mean, there were holes there, but that may be due to bad opponent also. Purdue hasn't stopped anybody running the ball, but at this point, anybody we can run the ball on is a bonus, because that was number 1. Number 2, and this is a very broad area, but defense in general. That looked more like the Iowa defense, just across the board. We just looked more aggressive. We looked more confident. We just rallied to the ball better than we did the last couple of games. I just thought there was a tentative nature to the Iowa defense that you just don't see very often, and that was not there on Saturday. They were certainly right from the get-go a little more aggressive. It obviously helped that Hudson Card absolutely refuses to ever get rid of the football. But and honestly, the funny thing is Hudson Card's a good quarterback. When he throws a good ball. He does a lot of good things. But man, his absolute refusal to ever give up on a play was, if you're a Purdue fan, has to be infuriating.
Yeah, he's a talented guy, and Iowa just kept coming. We saw a step forward from Graves. That was great to see. Y.A. Black, these last 2 weeks, we can see why this coaching staff's been so high on him with the size that Iowa just doesn't get guys built, 6'4", 315 like him. His ability to move. He snuffed out that screenplay a couple of weeks ago. He's playing at a high level. And then the veterans have stepped up too, and sound like they had an internal meeting just along the defensive line. Whatever said in that meeting, it worked. Let's do that again this week.
Yeah, might as well just have one of those every week. Maybe Joe Evans can just be like assistant defensive line coach. I love Kelvin Bell, so I don't want him to leave by any means. But Joe Evans is clearly kind of the emotional leader of this team, and I'm guessing he was pretty fired up, and we're going to need them to play at that level or higher next week if we have any chance. So
we'll get into
number three on the list of good. You're not going to like this, and no one else is going to like this, but Brian Ferentz's game plan. It was a good game plan. And before everybody gets their pitchforks out and screams,
here we go. Hit the comment section up and yell at Biz.
No, as I say, the bad. Wait till you hear the bad also, because I'm specifically saying the game plan was good. I thought he did a really nice job of scheming up some ways to get Eric all the ball. I thought, we've scrapped the outside zone run entirely. Everything was, a lot of the counter action again, a lot of quick hitter runs. I liked the game plan. I thought he gave us some opportunities to be successful on Saturday, which, given the limitations of our offense, that's about all you can ask for. So game plan, good. We'll save the other part for later, but you can tell me where I'm wrong. I'm sure I've never heard you agree with anything when it comes to positive on Brian. So go ahead, Trent.
Well, I will tell you the game plan. I was fine with the game plan too. I thought it obviously wasn't executed very well. The thing that drives me nuts, and it's not game plan, it's more scheme. Rewatching the game again on Sunday night, as I always rewatch it, and just some of the route concepts. There were 4 or 5 different plays where you have guys running in the exact same spot. There was one, I think it was a drop pass. Maybe it was to LaShawn Williams. It was somebody out there. And then there was a tight end running like right behind him. There was 2 third down plays, 2 third and longs, where there was only one player, even 15 yards down the field. It's the route concepts that they have. And this has been obviously something I bitched about for a very long time, but it doesn't work. So game plan wise, I agree. It was good. It was the scheme. It just sucks.
And Trent, I'm not smart enough to know the answer to this, but is part of that miscommunication or lack of understanding by our wide receivers also? Because I think a lot of what we're doing is option routes.
Yep.
They're given decisions to go one way or the other, and they either make the wrong decision or the wrong read. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I agree. The scheme's probably partially to blame, but I think there's plenty of blame to go around. We'll get into the whole passing game down the road here in a minute. But but again, the game plan I liked, but you want to flip to the bad?
Yeah, let's get to the bad.
All right, so we'll just go right to Brian on the bad. Game plan, good. In-game decision-making, I just don't get it. Like, again, I thought his game plan was great, but a couple times in that game, I don't understand what he's thinking. Late in the first half, we run the ball 3 times, great. I mean, just 30-yard run, 20-yard run, 5-yard run. We get to 2nd and 5, 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. We're at the 33-yard line or something like that. Just keep pounding. The worst thing that happens is you get stopped. You run the clock down to a minute. You kick the field goal, and it's 13-0.
Right.
Instead, 2nd and 5, he goes pass, incomplete, field goal blocked. They score, and it's a 10-7 game. You can't have it both ways. If you want to be the bullies of the Big Ten, then when you become the bullies, become the bullies. Like, pound it down their throat in that situation. Like, I swear, he just – the next play on his sheet was pass. So he's like, okay, I got to pass here. But shit, rip it up and run the same run again. I mean, we need the Kendrick, you and I are Osage grads, and Kendrick Bird used to sit up there with the air horn and holler, run it again. Like, Christ, we need the
power
same thing.
Football.
Someone needs to just be screaming, run it again to him in those situations. Like, most of the year, we haven't had the luxury of doing that. We haven't had a good enough running game to be able to run it down anybody's throats. But at that situation, we were ready to put the game away at the half, and instead he got too cute. And then same thing with the goal line situations. I liked the idea of both the shotgun play, it was there, and the throwback to the lineman was there. I mean, the idea of those plays are great. But to do those plays on Deacon Hill's first game, why? I mean, you're not building to his strengths at all. He has no touch at all. And you're asking him to put a touch to a lineman? Like, it's just not the time to do it. The idea of it is good. I mean, we're really lucky that Deacon Hill screwed the play up, because if he did it correctly, that's a backwards pass and probably a 90-yard touchdown going the other way. But, it was there. It was open. And on the shotgun play that we missed, the guy coming in motion was wide open also. I mean, but just because they're there doesn't mean it's the right call. And it's just his in-game decision-making just is infuriating. Like, you've got to adjust when you've got the game in your hands in that situation in the first half. Shove it down their throat, and instead we get pretty in that situation. Same thing down at the goal line. You're running the ball. shove it down their throat. Nope, got to get pretty, because that was what we practiced, I guess, this week. We practiced this neat little play, and that's fine in certain situations, but the game didn't dictate that. We didn't need to do that. Just run it down their throat. So there you go. There's the bad. So Brian's on both sides of the equation, good and bad.
And this is something that we've complained about a long time. It's just Brian Ferentz, he knows football. It's not that he doesn't know football. He just has no feel. There's a certain skill to being a play caller, and he just doesn't have it. And even when the offense has been at least adequate under him, it's still been a complaint that we have had a ton. He just doesn't have a feel for the game and when to pull out those kind of plays. Mason Richmond, as of Friday, Kirk didn't think he was going to play. And then you're setting up that throwback play for him. And even though it was there, you're setting that up for your injured offensive tackle. It just, that's the part of it. Why get cute? Why do those things when you just don't have to? It doesn't make a lick of sense.
And thrown by a quarterback who had repeatedly shown that he has zero touch. I mean, zero. I mean, I still like Deacon Hill. He's everything about the guy's fun. But, I mean, man, he was he's a work in progress. So to put him in that situation, I just don't get it. So
speaking of Deacon Hill, the ugly.
Well, let's not get to that. I got two more bad first.
Oh, okay.
One bad. I mean, rarely is this in the bad list, but kicker Drew Stevens. We need, if this team has any chance of going into Madison and winning, we need to be perfect on special teams. And we've not been. I mean, we were bad at Penn State. We were bad. I mean, he got one blocked, one missed, and the two that he made were both ugly. I mean, they were not pretty kicks. And the weather wasn't bad. It was a little windy, but it
felt windier on the field, or at least it looked that way.
It was 10 to 15 mile an hour winds, and it was a crosswind. So, I mean, there was enough, but let's be honest, that's probably the nicest weather you're going to get the next 6 games. It's only going to get worse. So I'm not worried about Drew Stevens. I mean, part of this is being spoiled. I mean, he's been a really good kicker for a year and a half, but we need him to be that really good kicker if we're going to win. So there's number two. Number three, Trent, and I know this won't be popular with a lot of Iowa fans, but Xavier Wampa really worries me. That guy, he just doesn't look comfortable out there. I mean, you know him better than I do. Obviously, you could call games with him in high school. I was under the understanding this guy loved to hit. Yeah. And it just doesn't show right now. His lack of physicality and lack of willingness to come up and tackle people is not good right now. And I'm not saying, I mean, part of this, he's just young. I mean, he's a second year in the program. I think he's going to end up being a really good player, but it shows that it's the second year of the program right now. And the 3rd and 30 play where they should have got it on 3rd and 30, I have no clue what he was doing on that play. He bit and came up on a crosser for some reason, for no reason on 3rd and 30. And it's just lack of awareness of the situation was concerning. I mean, it looks bad because it looks like it's Jamari Harris's fault, but they were playing quarters coverage. Jamari Harris was sitting waiting for him. He's like, I'll pass him off to you. And he wasn't there. So, but it's, I don't know. I hope you talked last week that it was his best game, I think. The Michigan State game. It was his worst game last week. He looked bad. He couldn't tackle. He was very tentative. I hope.
And he's banged up. I do know that he is banged up.
He is,
And hopefully that's where we're seeing the lack of physicality. Because at the high school level, he was a physical player. His closing ability is unlike anything I've ever seen, and nobody even close to him at the high school level. But
he just looks really tentative. He just looks like he's thinking more than he needs to, which again, I get it. I mean, you're being asked to do a lot, but he's got to learn quickly because Wisconsin in years past has exploited our weaknesses, and I think they're going to come after Wampa on Saturday. Any
more on the bad?
Nope. Are they ready to get to the ugly?
Okay, let's do it.
Well, the ugly's easy, Trent. I mean, it's our passing game. I mean, good Lord. I mean, that was 6 for 21, worst completion rate in a game, I think it was since the 70s. And also, I mean, I'm sure, have you seen any of the articles in the last 24 hours about our passing game?
Well, just the hideous nature of it and in comparison to,
I've got a list of things here to tell you. And 90% of this comes from, I think it's Blackheart Gold Pants, I think, wrote the article. It's a good article / incredibly depressing article, just because I mean, basically just talks about our passing game right now is historically bad. I mean, we're completing 45% of our passes on the year, which is a full 4% lower than any team. But the average completion rate across the nation is 62%. 84 teams or more are completing 60% or more. We're at 45%. So you're thinking, well, maybe we throw deep. Maybe we're aggressive more than our teams. No, we're actually second to last in yards per attempt.
Oh, geez.
So we're throwing short and not completing the ball, basically. And we're second to last in passer rating. And then add on, in addition, I think is it Hawkeye Game Film? Is that the name of the guy on Twitter? He's awesome.
Yes.
He posted a couple things about our passing game and how it's just been a steady, slow decline over the last 6 years, basically. And how, honestly, Nate Stanley, we should be dreaming for the days of Nate Stanley, because he was consistently, completing 60% of his passes and throwing for 25, 30 touchdowns a game. The last 4 years, Trent, you know how many games in 4 years we've passed for 250 yards?
3.
Two. And none in the last 25 games. You know how many times in the last 4 years we've had a 300-yard passing game?
Well, I don't think any.
0. Yeah, 0. Yeah. And we've only had 2 games in the last 39 games, the last 2.5, 3 years ever, with a passer rating of over 150 ever. And you go back to the Nate Stanley years, Nate Stanley did it 17 times.
Jeez.
And so it's not like, we're not asking to split the atom here. We're just asking for mediocrity. Is it too hard to ask to complete 55% of your passes and
Apparently it is
200 yards? I mean, the average per game passing is 240. We're at 130. So we're 110 under the average right now. So yeah, it's ugly might be a kind word for our passing game right now.
Those are some hideous numbers. Well, this week it'll be a chance for not revenge, but an opportunity for Deacon Hill. We'll see what they can do. The passing game. One final note on the game. I've been freaking out about Kirk's decision not to go for 2 when it's 19-7 after scoring. There's 14 minutes left in the game. The difference between 12 and 13 points is negligible. It's 2 touchdowns, 2 extra points that beat you. What could possibly be the thought process?
Honestly, Trent, I don't think they ever even thought about it. It wasn't even prepared.
I think so too.
Being at the game, it wasn't like we were like debating it and decide. I mean, it was everybody sprinted off the field immediately, kicking off the field.
Yeah.
I honestly think they just got caught up in the moment and didn't even think about it. I think
holy crap, we scored a touchdown.
Scored. What do you do? What do you do after a touchdown, Trent?
Yeah, you go kick an extra point. Yeah.
Well, honestly,
it's a rarity.
No, I think they were literally surprised by that. I was like, oh, hey, that play worked. We scored a touchdown. What do we do? Kick the extra point. So, yeah, I think it's as simple as that. I don't think it was even like thought of. So it wasn't like they were like 50-50, let's weigh both sides. It was like, we scored. We got to kick the extra point. That's what we do. So, yeah, it makes no sense. So, I don't get it.
Not at all. We'll get into the Wisconsin matchup coming up this week. Can the Hawkeyes really beat the Badgers? Going to be a tall task in Madison. They've done it before. What's it going to take? We'll get into that. Plus our picks for the week presented by FanDuel, all coming up here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Hawkeyes is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks, really simple to play. All you do, make picks and submit your entry. You can do it in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types of what you make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Very simple. Take a look at the NFL coming up this week. Patrick Mahomes, is he going to have more than 2 touchdown passes? Do you want Travis Kelce with more than 50 receiving yards? Justin Jefferson, well, he's not playing this week, but you know what it is. You get where I'm going here. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use the code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and the promo code LockedOnCollege. With that, we continue here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. But before that, let's talk a little bit about our friends at Gametime. Gametime is a great app. In fact, I used it just last week. Gametime is where I went as I went to the Minnesota Twins playoff game on Wednesday and the victory against the Toronto Blue Jays. A great environment, a lot of fun, and got to see it using the app with Gametime. It is incredible what you're able to do. Last-minute ticket offers, all kinds of great things. You don't need to worry about buying a ticket, where it's going to be. They will show you exactly where your seat is in the stadium, and not just for baseball, football, basketball. They have you covered on music, comedy, theater events, all near you with killer last-minute deals all the way up until the start of the event. Even after it starts, up to an hour afterwards, you can still find those last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals, sponsor deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And with zone deals, you pick the section. Gametime will pick the seats for an average 18% savings. And with the Gametime guarantee, means you're always going to get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. LOCKEDONCOLLEG. LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Trent and Biz back with you again on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Biz, it's time for Wisconsin. This has not been a very fun one. Wisconsin is what we were growing up, right? Football, basketball, very good, very solid year after year. And they're in the late 90s, at least both programs kind of took a little bit of what Iowa was. And we look at our successes, and Wisconsin's just had a tick more recently. Bucky this week, they're going through transition. It's not a great Wisconsin team. I've gone back and rewatched every one except for one, I think, game, at least on the BTN and 60. And every time you kind of look at some of the final scores, oh yeah, they must have dominated. They haven't. They're going through a transition. You can definitely see that.
Yeah, I don't think they're a great team, but certainly we're not a great team either. But I mean, to me, Trent, it's really simple. We need to replicate exactly what happened back in 2015. Yeah. I mean, it's almost identical situation. I went back and looked, pulled up the box score. They were favored by 7.5, somewhere in that area, about the same. I went back, pulled it up. We had a total of 221 yards in that game. So it wasn't like we moved the football, but of that, 77 passing, 144 rushing. Jordan Canzeri ran for 125 yards. We were 9 for 21 passing the ball. We're going to have to commit to running the ball and have at least some decent luck doing it. We only ran for 3.6 yards a rush that game, but the key is, we moved the ball enough that we made them earn their points. And as you know, they continuously shot themselves in the foot that day. Yeah. They had 4 turnovers. I mean, they outgained us by 100 yards. They're going to outgain us on Saturday. They are. But time of possession in that game was almost dead even. We won the turnover battle. We had less penalties than them. We weren't perfect by any means. We had 2 turnovers and 6 penalties. But, we were somewhat efficient on third down. We were 5 for 15. We got to do all those things. I don't think it's possible to think that we're going to play a perfect game. Deacon Hill is going to make some mistakes. Mm-hmm. But the mistakes need to be similar to what he did on Saturday, which is overshooting someone by 20 yards and putting it in the third row and not putting it directly in the linebacker's chest. Yeah. So, I mean, the recipe for winning this game is make it as ugly as possible. And, nobody does that better than Iowa. So do I think we can win? Yeah, I think we can. But I'll ask you, Trent, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being no confidence, 10 being confident, how confident are you that Deacon Hill is going to handle himself well in his first road game?
A 2. Yeah. I can't.
I just think you're asking a ton for him. His first road game to go into Madison in basically a de facto, Big Ten West championship game. It's just asking a ton of him. I mean, we're going to have to, like I said, ugly it up, keep it simple for him, and hopefully hit 1 or 2 big plays.
Mm-hmm. I do like, the shots down the field, and that's
Brian's game plan, Trent. Brilliant.
That's what you have to do with him. It is his strength. Play to his strength. Intermediate routes, short routes are not his strength. So play with what you have. And I think it did help the run game a little bit, just with that, just a little bit of thought that, hey, maybe they're going to take a shot here, right? You got to keep doing it. And we've seen quarterbacks that have looked a lot different from early in their career to late. Don't take that away from Deacon. It is probably the one positive that he has is the big arm and the ability to take shots. You got to do it. First play of the game, I'm fine. Go and play action, go max protect, and take a shot with somebody, up the field. You have to give some kind of semblance that you cannot just have everybody within, 8 yards of the line of scrimmage against us, because we've seen Iowa struggles enough running the football against this 3-4 front. And though it's different and Jim Leonhard isn't there anymore, they struggled so much and it looked so ugly at times against this Wisconsin defense. You have to give them something that they haven't seen before against Iowa, and that's Deacon chucking it down the field.
Well, you just said it, Trent. The best hope we have in this game is that Jim Leonhard's not there anymore. I mean, Jim Leonhard completely owned Brian Ferentz, and he had figured out ways to blitz 4 or 5. I mean, just do it in different ways and get someone home every time. I mean, he just totally had figured out our offensive line and made us look awful. I was there 2 years ago. It was like watching a junior high offensive line. We couldn't block anybody. It was embarrassing. And the good news is, I mean, I think Wisconsin made the right call in the end. I mean, it's pretty hard to argue with Luke Fickell as your coach, and I think they're going to be really good down the road. But like you said, they're in transition right now. They're off. Their defense is not that great. I mean, it's good, but it's not the Wisconsin defense from a couple of years ago where they held us to 100 yards. We're going to get some yards on them. Are we going to get 300? No, we don't get 300 at anybody. But yeah, I think we can do what we did 8 years ago. Get 200, 250 yards, commit to the run, make it a grind, and hope to win 13-10. I mean, that's our best chance. And
probably have to dominate special teams again.
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, we can't have. I mean, Drew Stevens has got. I mean, we have to have a good special teams game again, and like that's my worry a little bit. We've been, obviously we've had bright spots on the special teams side. I mean, Troy Taylor's been Troy Taylor, and Coop's been great, but we've had some iffy moments on special teams this year, which has been kind of not what you expect. So yeah, I don't like our chances, but I'm not sure if you're a Wisconsin fan, you're like going into this thinking automatic victory either. I'm not sure Wisconsin. I mean, I don't know. You talk to Wisconsin. Sometimes I know you have people from other sides in it, but what are they saying? Are they confident?
Yeah, we had a guy on the radio show today, a Wisconsin grad, and I think everybody just looks at this Iowa offense and just how ugly it is, and they're not real concerned. We'll just put it that way. Which, if I coming from their perspective, I don't think I would be either. Just looking at how bad it's been for this team, it makes a whole lot of sense. But weird things happen. Come up with a game plan and find a way to get out of there 13-10. I think that's your hope.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're also going in there. Expectations are obviously low.
Mm-hmm.
Get a break early on and get ahead and put the pressure on them because, I'm not sold on Tanner Mordecai being a quality Big Ten quarterback at all. And the weather is supposed to be low 50s and some wind on Saturday, which I'm guessing he didn't get a lot of that down in Texas. So, the worse the weather is and the uglier we can make the game, the better.
Let's do that. When we come back, we will make our picks for the week. Biz, he's giving you a winner every single week. I have given you a winner every week but one. We will do that. Also talk about things as it pertains to the point spread as the Iowa game up to a 10-point spread right now. Iowa, the underdog at Wisconsin. We'll do that as we continue here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Hawkeyes is brought to you by Jase Medical. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jase Medical offers the Jase case. The Jase case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use and gives you peace of mind so that you're not just hoping that you have access to medication in case of an emergency. Jase Medical makes sure you have the medication in hand. Jase Medical is simple. They handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. Don't get caught unprepared. Get $20 off these life-saving antibiotics today from Jase Medical by using the code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's jasemedical.com, JASE medical.com for $20 off. Make sure to use that promo code LOCKEDON. Trent and Biz back with you one final time on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. All right, Biz, it's been a good run for us here in our picks. We simplified things. In the past, we do 3-5 games going all over the place. Now, we're just going to give our favorite pick of the week. We've been, for the most part, doing this early in the week, and the one that jumps off the page. You still have the honors, though, as you have not missed so far this season. What's your lock of the week?
Well, I love Kansas State, Trent. It would not break my heart if their coach was coaching in Kinnick in a few years, but they're kind of a mess right now. They look like crap against Oklahoma State, and now they got to go on the road to a good and desperate Texas Tech team. They're 3-3, and I think Texas Tech's a good team. Look at their losses. Wyoming is not a shame at all. They had Oregon up against the ropes, and then they lost at West Virginia. I just think the spread's just too low. It's 1.5. I think Texas Tech beats Kansas State. I think it's two very similar programs, but you got home team at night and a wild atmosphere at Texas Tech. They're kind of, they're pretty nuts in the night games there. So give me the Red Raiders to take down every man a Wildcat.
Texas Tech. All right. For me, I'm going to stay in the Big Ten this week. I know I'm not taking the Hawks. We'll get to that game in a moment. Give me Rutgers laying the 5 against Michigan State. Of course, we saw Sparty a couple weeks ago. It is a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of question marks about what that future of the program is going to be. Rutgers needs this game. If they're going to get bowl eligibility, they have to put this one in the win column. I've been impressed by Rutgers. I think we've seen enough from them that they've at minimum become competent, something that they haven't been in a really long time. So kind of that weird number. I'm going to lay the 5. Give me Rutgers -5 for my lock of the week.
On paper, that sounds good, but anytime you have to bet Rutgers, you got to be a little nervous, Trent. Like, it's just I can't bring myself a good faith to be like, yeah, I really feel good about Rutgers.
Fair enough. All right, let's get into the Iowa game. The point spread sits at 5. 36.5 is the number right now at FanDuel in the over/under. I think if you're going to do something with this game, if you're feeling confident with the Hawkeyes.
What did you say the point spread was? I think you butchered the point spread.
What did I say, 10?
You said 5. I think it's 9.5 or 10.
Oh, yeah. I was typing out the 5 for the Rutgers there as I was sending our picks to you. Yeah, 10 is the number. If you feel confident with Iowa, I would say do the Iowa money line and same game parlay it with the under, because there's no way that Iowa's winning this game 20-17 and getting over that number. I think the only path to victory, 13-10, 9-7, 8-5. I mean, that's the path there. If I was going to do it and take a shot here, I'd add a little bit more and also throw the under on top of it.
8-5, we'd get a scoregami, Trent.
Yes.
I honestly, if it was below 10, I'd probably like Wisconsin. Now that it's up to 10, I'd just leave it alone. Like I said before, I just don't have any confidence that Deacon Hill is going to handle this situation well. He didn't handle his first start at Kinnick well, and he just didn't show any signs of being able to go on the road and manage a football game. I just think a couple of those errant throws are going to find their way into Badgers' hands. I mean, we got lucky. He didn't turn the ball over more than once on Saturday. So I just don't think we can play a clean game on Saturday. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope we go in there and we find a way to pull it out. We make it ugly and get the job done. But if you force me to bet it, I think I'd probably take Wisconsin.
I think that's where I am too. I could see this game. They're just grind, they pull away. And Wisconsin's done that a couple of times this season. Though they're running spread offense, they still run the football with Braylon Allen a lot. Malusi goes out for the season, and then their backup just looked really good last week too. They keep finding the dudes at the running back position week in and week out. That are our locks of the week here, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. We'll be back with you with more next week. We will recap, of course, the Wisconsin game coming up later this week here on the Locked On feed, your team every day. We'll hear from former Hawkeye running back LaShawn Daniels, get his perspective on what the running game did and how it looked better on Saturday, and a chance against Wisconsin, what the Hawkeyes have to do to pull off the victory. Biz, we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, go Hawks.